The library, the taxes have been raised 2 cents to pay the debt service on the library. So the tax was raised to pay the $11.5 million that the library has cost us. That did not include any raise for operating costs. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Terry Nevitt. I am not for raising taxes. I think unemployment is a bad situation, and you take people who are living on half the income that they work because the spouse had to go back to school or do something different. I think that the library should try to work on a balanced budget somehow or another. It sounds like there's a lot of, I'm not saying, I came here with an open mind tonight to hear about, a company coming in and doing this. I personally think that you wouldn't put us in that position if we're going to get lesser of a service. I have that much You have not got a contract, you have not read anything, so nothing is in stone at this particular point. People are happy that they've got a job today, and even if it is, your income is reduced, if you've got a job, you are happy you've got a job. Now, I have one other question for you that I was totally shocked at, and I'm not sure if I heard it or read it correctly. And the question is do the part-time employees of the county participate in the pension plan?
Yes.
I've been an employee benefits person for 24 years this November, and I know of nobody in the capital private sector who ever includes part-time people in a pension plan. I'm quite actually appalled at that. I just do not feel that so that's basically
Right over here, lady.
My name is Jana. I'm a friend of the library. As I understand, I've been following the proceedings the last several weeks with the Tuesday mornings with the Commissioner's Court. The library is not in debt. As I understand right now, what we're talking about is cutting out the budget from the library in order to pay for the frills and fanciness of our new courthouse. I would like to know, you talked a little bit earlier that our ratings were going to be at risk because of the debt that we're going to be incurring the next few years.
No, I didn't say that. I said the reserve.
Would you address that a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. When you go out to a bond, to buy a bond, to sell a bond, you get rated. And the higher your rating, the less interest you pay. If you're rated AAA, the interest you pay on a bond is much less than if you have a single A or a B rating. We right now have a AA rating, and that AA rating is dependent upon a lot of financial information, one of which is an established financial policy on reserves, and do you meet your financial policy? That's what that's all about.
If that were to drop, what would be our consequences?
Our ratings would go down, and when we borrow money, it would be more expensive to borrow money to build roads, for example.
What if we put a moratorium on everything else until we get figured out?
I don't think the people of this county would put a moratorium on building roads.
Have you asked us?
I'd like to interject something here. Let's remind you how he got his office. It wasn't because he voted for the courthouse. It was because others did without our approval. Okay? Yeah, it's got us in the middle of the hess. Okay? He's trying to get us out of it by doing some sensible things. We have these things that are mandated by the Constitution of the state of Texas. We got to do them. These people we have to hire, the JPs and so forth. Nancy, you going to take a cut in salary? I don't think so. Okay? Well, the point is, we have these mandated offices and services we have to provide. And the option here is either we cut expenses or we raise taxes. And like the lady said back here, this is not a good time to raise taxes. If any of you are unaware of what's going on in the big world of finance and economics, then you need to do a little homework. We are, even though we are doing well as a state, as a nation, we're not. And Bill, I know once you gave the illustration that we're sitting up in the crow's nest, but I would remind you, the crow's nest of the Titanic is on the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, but you don't want to raise the law.
All right, hold it, please, one at a time. This lady over here has been waiting a long time, the lady in the green dress.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
Give her the microphone.
I would like to please ask my question after this lady and the lady across the room who have had their hands up 25 times.
Okay.
My name is Kathleen Corey, and I just want to know, historically speaking, has the library operated within the budget given them by the county?
Yes.
Okay, so can we not give them a budget and say, can you make a budget with this amount of money as opposed to being outsourced? That's my question.
We'll talk about that a little later.
Okay, excuse me. Right over here. Over here. Excuse me. My name, can you hear me? My name is Julie Dulac, and my question is in reference to the library being the only organization not directed by the state. Does the state direct how much we spend on salaries, on office supplies, on training, on travel, on all the things that go into the budget? Why can't we have a more equitable cut across the board instead of a tremendous cut on the library?
The people of the county, their budget has been cut 3 years in a row. They have not gotten a cost of living raise. They've not gotten a step function raise for 3 years. They have been asked every year to reduce their budgets by 5%, and they have. Others have been asked to reduce their budget by more than 5%. Why, for example, do we have 2 district courts? We have 2 district courts because we have enough federal type, not federal, we have enough felony type conviction information we need to have. Why do we have a county court of law? Same reason. The district clerks operate with either 3 or 4 people. They're not overly staffed. Our treasurer handles $30-some million a year plus all of our investment. He does it with 5 people. Our tax assessor, they collect all the taxes. They've had 10 people for the last 11 years. Our county clerk, she has 10 people. She's had 10 people for the last 11 years. I mean, the manpower in the various departments of the county is not flush.
Well, but
So when you say can you cut, there's not much left to cut.
But aren't the library employees also people of the county?
Absolutely not.
Yes, we are.
Judge?
No.
Judge?
They got a raise in 2008.
Judge, aren't the library employees also people of the county who have also gone without raises? And yet that's the organization that's being singled out to have a disproportionate cut as opposed to cuts being spread more. If we can't afford it, then maybe we have to do the dreaded raise taxes if we can't afford it.
How many of you are seniors? Now, the thing about being a senior is our taxes are frozen. Right. So if you start raising taxes, you're raising your taxes.
Yep.
That's what you're doing. Yes, ma'am.
The lady in the green dress.
Oh, that's right, lady in the green dress.
Dixon Clay. Is there any question, good or bad, that anybody in this room could ask that would persuade you to not look into outsourcing our library? Good morning.
Talk about it a little bit.
Excuse me. When I moved here 2 years ago, what's your name? I chose Rockwall was because
Start over.
and what's your name? What's your name? Hi, my name's Christine Roy. When I moved here 2 years ago, the biggest thing I looked for was the infrastructure of our city. Now we have great schools. We have great facilities for our kids. And the reason most of us are here is to keep that. At no point in time is our city, our children, up for sale, which is exactly what you've given us. No other option. Most of us out here, for the people I know, are civil servants. You never asked how many firefighters, police officers, doctors, nurses come and work from other cities and come out here to raise our families. And no point in time have you asked us what we'd be willing to give to keep our library and keep our family and keep the integrity and our children the way we wanted it, which is why we moved here to begin with.
My name is Jenny Progelhoff, and I am chairman of the Rockwall County Library Advisory Board. I have seen that presentation 5 times. I am very interested in something that was not included in it. First of all, according to the private company's agenda, they terminate all the current employees. But nowhere in this have I heard how much that termination would cost and who would pay it. Rockwall County, the library, whom? With 26 employees, the salaries, etc. and so forth, you have unemployment, you have termination pay, and yada, 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 yada. This matter has not been addressed at all in the 5 times I have seen this presentation. Thank you.
We will go till 8:30. That's 25 minutes from now, so anyone who would like to ask a question and not have a chance to do so, you're first.
Hi, my name is Socorro Hedinger. Can everybody hear me? Yes. Okay. You know, it's clear that people are very emotional about this library, but we need to use logic and reason, not emotion, okay? The problem is we want something, we don't have money for it. Our property taxes are decreasing, so our tax revenue is decreasing. Our growth is decreasing, so our tax revenue is decreasing. At the same time, there are things that we have to pay for that the state mandates. The only thing we're not mandated to pay for is the library. And so that's why he's looking at that. It's not because he's trying to sell your kids or do something terrible to you. He's trying to balance the budget. That's what he was elected to do. And that's what he's trying to do. That's a good thing to do. He's trying to balance the budget. And I think we need to come up with other ways. I think we may have to look at raising taxes. We may have to look at charging fees for certain services at the library. Maybe we charge $1 to get a library card. Maybe we charge $1 to use a computer for an hour. You know, the reality is we don't have the money. Even if we weren't building that big, expensive courthouse, which we do need for safety and security reasons, we have a lot, and yes, we're probably building it bigger than we need to. That's typically what's done with government buildings, is they're built lavishly and more expensively than they need to. But we do have very important security and safety issues with the old courthouse that we have. So we do need a new courthouse. But the problem is we want something that we can't afford right now. You want to keep it, you're going to have to increase revenue. You're going to have to find a way to increase revenue. And I think another option we can look at is that maybe the library can present a budget, you know, a lower costing budget. That's another thing we can look at. And maybe the nonprofit organizations can step up and help us more with this also.
I'm Andrew Glaze. When I got out of high school, I had well over 100 volunteer hours, many of which were at the Rockwall County Library. I'm a lawyer now. Part of that's because I went and volunteered at the Rockwall County Library. One of the things I learned there was that you got a door, somebody walks in, you help them. That's something that a library does. That's not something that a lot of city services do. That's not something that you get from a for-profit corporation unless it's in their interest to provide you good service. Well, I'm not sending my kids to volunteer at a for-profit service. I'm not doing it. I'll send them somewhere else when they're in high school. Now, if you don't want to go to the library, that's fine. If you don't want to pay for the library, that's fine. I'm paying for something that you want. You're getting some city services that you want that I'm helping pay for. And you may talk about raising taxes, this, that, or the other. Well, I'm the youngest taxpayer in this room. I'm the one that's going to bear the most burden for whatever you decide to spend money on. I'd rather you spend money on something I want than some city service or something or an extra floor or a shiny roof on the new courthouse. I can tell you Rockwall's crime rate is not that bad. I lived in Dallas. I slept with a shotgun over my bed. And that was the safe part of Dallas. If you don't like how much money is getting spent on the library, there are other places that are getting money spent on them too. And you're not talking to me about how much more I'd be willing to pay in taxes to keep the library around.
My name is Peyton Freeman, and I'd like to echo what he just said. That's $700,000 to finish a floor on that half god-awful Death Star of a courthouse. We're trying to cut out of the library. Have we spent that $700,000?
Contract has been let.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Contract has been let, yes.
That was smart. Well, before we sign any contracts for year 2012 to finish out floors, maybe we ought to finish the budget. That's just my 2 cents.
My name is Sandra McKay, and I've lived in Rockwall for more than 30 years. When I came here, there was no library. And the first thing I joined was the Central Library. And I'm happy to say we had a courthouse, and we had felons doing just like we do now. Our felons didn't have nearly as nice a place to stay. So most people tried their best to stay out there. What we've got, what we're looking for, the central problem, we spent too much money on a courthouse that looks like the Taj Mahal, and we have got to put things that help us live in this town. I don't plan on ever going to jail.
Okay, stand up. Yeah, you will.
They're not going to go out and do a fancy courthouse like that. The problem is we've already spent money we don't have.
Judge, I hear you.
We can't hear you.
I'm Johanna Reynolds, and I just wanted to ask Jerry if you would explain to us the savings that is being allowed by finishing out that top floor. How many offices are we paying rent on now that we won't be paying rent on because that third floor is completed out?
We're closing 5 facilities. 3 of them are leased, which is $100,000 a year. We are closing 2 buildings, which will be put on the market for sale. The value of those buildings, 2 of them, is about $700,000, and the value of the leases are $100,000. So the decision to put the JPs on the 3rd floor was based on economics and usage. Judge, Dave Schwartz wants to. Everybody wants to have an ask.
Right here. She's had her hand up a long time.
Bring her the microphone.
The lady in the striped shirt has had her hand up a long time. Give her a microphone.
Mike.
I lost my
Right
voice, or you
Right
would.
here.
My name is Joe K. Harris Class. I was raised in this town. I used this library when it was one room across from the sheriff's office. Read every book in it. When I was 12, I wanted to read Gone with the Wind. The lady would not let me check it out because it had a 4-letter word in it. My father had to come check the book out. I believe that we've all let things go too far in this country, this state, and this city. I should have spoke to the school board 2 weeks ago when they took people's retirement away from them that have worked for this district 17, 18 years by outsourcing. I was a principal in this town when we outsourced. They did away with all of our cleaning equipment. They changed the toilet paper size, the paper towel size. 3 years they were gone. What did we do? Have to buy everything over again. We've had mechanics, we've had teachers. We've let these people go that will never get another job. I don't know that they can't cut some of their help. I think they can do it themselves and not outsource. You are talking to city managers. Some of those libraries that they take over are city libraries. City manager doesn't have anything to do with the Rockwall County Library. I brought you some reading material. Have you ever heard of the Carnegie Libraries? There's one in Terrell. I want you to read about libraries and what they mean to people. And what people, I could buy any book I wanted to read now. I carry 4 library cards in my purse. Rockwall, Rowlett, Garland, and Chautauqua, New York. And I will go use a library as long as I want to. I go and read the New York Times. I read magazines. I could buy them, but it's a waste of money. Now, these people have given years to this county. You're going to change their retirement. I heard you at retired teachers. You've got 2 retirements, so it doesn't bother you. And you also told me that you were a one-term judge. Well, give these people a chance to keep their job. I think they can cut their budget and live with it. And we don't need outsiders in here telling us how to do it.
I'm Laurie Lynn Smith, and I heard you say that you wanted to take bids on outsourcing. How many companies have you researched that might make a bid other than LSSI?
It's the only one there is.
That's right. And how can you take bids? That doesn't make sense. That's not a bidding process.
That's exactly what many of these other libraries are doing. They are bidding against LSSI. And so, for example, Farmers Branch converted to LSSI. The library bid on it as a corporation, and LSSI bid on it as a corporation. That's the end.
I'm Melody Orchard. I'm current president of Rockwall Preschool Association. And next year's philanthropy chair, we just gave Doreen Miller and Lindsay a check for $2,000. This year, we're a group of 33 women. We've raised over $15,000. I don't know how excited we will be to send it to a for-profit company next year. 2,000, not a whole lot. But Doreen and Lindsay do a ton for us on and off site. Doreen has all of the story time, those people with tight budgets that can't afford to go do the fun, expensive things with their kids. They can go to the library any day of the week, except for Sunday, and it's free. Multiple story times, multiple activities. The summer is fantastic. I don't have a problem paying for my library card. I don't have a problem paying a little bit extra to use the library that we use so much. And on top of the on-site things that Doreen and Lindsay do for us, they are at every Christmas party, giving our kids puppet shows, no cost. They never ask for any money. When we asked Doreen to come accept her check the last Friday of the year, she said, "I will be honored to come accept that check, and can I entertain your kids for 20 or 30 minutes while you're there?" She doesn't have to do that. And I have a feeling that a for-profit company isn't going to feel the same way. So I ask you to please not outsource the library. I'm sure that there can be some budget tightening with anything, and I ask you to look at that rather than outsource.